Welcome, everyone. My name is Aldreama Harper. I am the host of the Organizedpreneur Podcast, The Launchpad. And so I'm super excited today to have my newfound friends from Northflow.io.
Yeah,
Yeah.
excited.
And so these two brilliant young ladies have created this SaaS software. Okay, I can't get it right now. What is it? SaaS stand for again?
Software as a
As
service.
service. Why couldn't I get that right? Anyway, all right. So I'm super excited to have them on here today to help me correct what I was trying to say, first of all. But I'm super excited about these brilliant young ladies coming up with this software to help all of us manage our podcast show and our work and flow. And so I'm excited about it because they talk my language because I love systems. I love workflows. I love all of that. But what I discovered was mine was kind of jacked up, especially when Tally and I were talking and, she was like, let me help you with this. But I am one of those people who love systems, processes, and all of that, streamlining and all of the things. And I love doing this for my clients. I love doing this for myself. I come from a professional organizing background. And so since then, I've been doing a lot more of helping a lot more clients who work online and coaches and consultants and podcasters. And so I wanted you ladies to come on because we all need a little help because we all have a lot of band-aids and batching things together and things like that. And the way I found you ladies, I think was on your podcast on YouTube. I think that's how I found you. And then I was like, I need to talk to them.
When you start talking to us, we may not stop.
I get it. I get it. So I wanted to have, for the sake of the audience, I wanted them to know that I'm very excited about having you guys on so that you can help us with our workflow. So if you're a podcaster, if you have an online business and you are kind of, stitching things together and things like that, this is the episode for you. Oh, the way we're going to start is, I guess, just by allowing each of you to introduce yourselves and we're just going to kind of go from there. Does that sound good?
Wonderful.
Okay. All right. Because they know enough about me.
There's always something new to learn. True.
I know. So true.
Tally, you want to go first? Sure.
I am Tally Mallow, not Tally Meow. And I'm the co-founder, one of the co-founders, actually four of us. And basically, we're still trying to figure out titles, but if I had to choose a title, I would be the Chief Experience Officer. And I also lead the community that we're growing on Discord. I'm also Simona's co-host of Behind the Workflow. And basically what I've been doing since we started Northflow, in a nutshell, is talk to a lot of people, get a lot of feedback, just try to understand the processes and also like their workflows.
She's the queen of workflows.
I know.
It's awesome. It's awesome.
All right.
My name is Simona. I'm also one of the co-founders of Northflow, and I head up our marketing, our podcast, and the strategy behind that. And the thing is when you're starting something new, everyone helps each other out. You know what I mean? So kind of like what Tally was saying, when we started out, we were like, okay, we're each going to kind of own a piece of it, and then we're going to grow into how it will turn out eventually. So truly, I mean, Tally and I have done a lot of the marketing together, helping to build out the different systems and processes for our users and all of that. And I think it's because all of us as co-founders, we're very similarly minded, but we also have such different backgrounds that we get to see things in each other's workflows and each other's processes as well. So it's really interesting building a product that is focused on workflows and then also getting to see how other people work and operate, because like you were saying at the beginning of the podcast, you're someone who loves systems and structures and all of that. I am not the person that likes the systems and structures. And so my background, in addition to Northflow, I'm a producer. I'm a podcast producer and I run an agency, and I work with podcasters day in and day out and helping them to launch and grow and monetize their podcasts. And funnily enough, when I first started my agency, I was patchworking all kinds of things together. It was absolutely so chaotic. And people would tell me, oh my gosh, this is so organized. And I'm like, what? I guess like for who? Not for me. And so ever since, the Northflow team, because the product existed for about a year before they kind of got in touch and asked if I wanted to join in from a marketing point of view. And when we finally did that and I started using the product, I'm like, wow, like you really don't, I'm sure we'll get into this, but you really do not realize how chaotic everything else is around until you really take a look at it and you see that this system is not working anymore. Um, and the mindset shift that it takes to go from what's always worked and it's fine because it's worked to how do we actually optimize this now and create a better process so that life feels easier and things feel more fun. So I'll land my plane there for now. I'll pick it back up though, because I love to travel. So we're going to
Of
pick it back
course. Of
up.
course we're gonna pick it back up, of course. So I so love that. Now, so you gave me some of your background. So were and still are, you have an agency, right?
I do. Yeah.
Okay. And so Tally, what's your background? How did all of this kind of come together?
Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how far I go back. I started back in, I'm not gonna say the year. I started as a designer, and basically like what I've been doing the past few years, it has been a mixture of like startups and also working as a UX designer, which is basically like a user experience designer. So I've always been like, I see a problem, I need to fix it. And I kid you not, it could be a blessing, but sometimes it can be a curse as well because I'll be going down the store, like the aisle on a store, and I'm like, this could be done better. And that's kind of like what happened with the whole like Northflow. Like I heard about this pain that someone was going through and like just trying to figure out where they were getting it wrong because they were getting burned out having to manage. I think she had 3 different shows. And I was like, I can fix that. I have a whole team. We could definitely work on this and make it better. So that's kind of like how Northflow started, and also a little bit of background on some of the things that I've done.
Wow, wow. Okay, so where do we my goodness, there's so many things that's going through my head. So, what exactly did you do before this, Tally? I mean, like, you were a graphic designer and
From graphic designer to web designer to user experience designer. I worked in a healthcare company for a while. And then after that, I also had a startup for the beauty industry. So
oh, wow.
basically, it was like a whole booking and website SaaS for the beauty industry, which is still live. It's been live for like 11 years now, and we still have really good users. We have users from that's been with us since day one, which is like we have such a great relationship. They never left us. So,
Mhm.
it's nice to be doing this again as a startup.
Yeah, yeah. So are you one of those people, and I'm saying this because I am. I love startups. Like, I love
An
helping people
addiction.
okay, okay. See, I knew that, I knew that. So, okay. All right. So how long has Northflow been around? What year did it start?
So we started talking about the idea of it back in late 2023. So
Okay.
it's been a minute, but
Mhm.
we really didn't start like doing like any research until like early 2024, and we started going to some local events for podcasters, and by the time we were like mid 2024, so about like, well, I guess a year ago, which is crazy to think it's been a whole year. That's when we were like, okay, we got the tool down, somewhat down, but we need a different perspective as well. So that's why we started talking with different people and like who else we can bring as a co-founder. And that's how we found Simona. And
Yeah.
she's been amazing, like just bringing a lot of like, just because it's different when you're talking to like just doing like different interviews and you're getting people's feedback than like someone that's there every day, and she's able to give like, hey, I don't think this works. Like she's just being like honest and really seeing from a perspective of as a podcaster, but also as an agency owner. So that's definitely that was like when we're like, okay, now we got all the pieces that we need, and we already had like all the product, all the basically like development, all of that was in a row, but we were still missing that one person that could really speak on behalf of the industry, and also with all the marketing background as well.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's nice to have people from different backgrounds. It allows you a
Yeah,
different perspective. And
Yep.
for
so,
sure.
Because
yeah,
you
yeah.
can like think and assume and try and figure out what the problems are, but until you actually know, it's like, okay,
Mhm.
this solution could work, but then it also in practicality may not, right? So
Right.
I've been with Northflow now for about a year. And when the product went, I mean, because it was still like technically there and built and all that. But we went to Podfest and we all met for the first time in person in January and launched the product as well to founding members. So the people who would join us and become founding members of the product. And it was a really cool experience bringing that to market because even though the product already existed, now you have people actually using it. And then now I'm like using it and I'm like, we're missing this thing. Or someone is talking about a production schedule, right? It's one of my favorite features that Northflow has. Even when I was building out, so yesterday I was doing my whole like content plan for the summer for my podcast. And I was going through and just being able to start with a production schedule that talks to the whole system and that automatically inputs all of your tasks for you. Like, man, it took so much stress off my mind just doing that, you know? But if you don't have like the industry person to take a look at something, you wouldn't know how valuable a production schedule would be to an agency or a team or a solo creator with their show, right? Especially if you
Yeah.
want to get ahead and
Yeah.
batch record things, right? So yeah, so it's been really it's been really cool to see. I've never been involved in SaaS before. So I'm just taking my marketing expertise and off I go.
Yeah, no, I think that is awesome. I mean, because I met with, the two gentlemen,
Brian and Natalie,
yeah,
yeah.
Yep.
yeah, and so I was always, kind of curious about, SaaS and things like that, thinking, I think that's something that I would like to do at some point in time, but I can't create another Northflow because now it's already done. Okay, so there's that.
Sorry, we took the idea first. No, I'm
I
just
know, I
kidding.
know. So how did you all come up with the name Northflow?
So I think you were not with us yet, right,
I was
Simona, when
not.
we
No,
came
the
up with
name
the name?
already existed when I joined. Yeah.
Yes. So we were thinking of like North Star, like where's your North Star? And the flow kind of goes with workflow. So it was like your North Star, your workflow all together. And then like even the reason behind the blue, we looked into a few like different, I guess, noise types, and blue was a good noise for us to go by. So we're like, okay, blue is a good color. And then North Flow is because of the North Star and also the workflow. I think we had probably like 10 other names that we were trying to figure it out, but I can't remember all of those because it's been so long.
None of them mattered anyways. No, I'm just kidding.
Exactly.
Exactly,
Don't
exactly.
we have one of our co-founders like super into space though and outer space?
Oh, there's that too. Yes, Fran.
Yeah.
He's really into everything related to space. Like a lot of our like just mocks that we do, like the design mocks, it's all space related. So you will see like a lot of interstellar and
Constellation.
star based. Yeah, he has all of these.
At first I was like, wow, this is a lot of galaxy going on here. I love it. No, I'm just sorry. Not myself.
So let's talk about the product, okay? So let's
Mhm.
talk about what it does, and I guess like from, you know, let's just say someone doesn't know anything about, the product. Let's talk about what it does and how can it, get you fill in the gap from point A to point Z. How does it fill in that gap for podcasters? And does it work for people other than podcasters, Oh, yeah. Okay, so
It
yeah,
does.
let's talk about that.
It does. So I'll share a little example of that. So I was on a call today with, I have a membership for podcasters, and I was on a call today with that, and I was giving them a demo of the product. And that was one of the first things that someone asked, like, oh my gosh, this is so incredible for podcasters. And she said, and also, I
Yeah.
could use this for my entire life. And I was like, yeah, you actually could, actually. You really could. But the idea is that it's for podcasters, YouTubers, content creators, to help you manage your ideas, your production workflow, and create a system that talks to essentially you, your team, if you have one, the process that you're developing, and the timelines that you're trying to stick to. Because the idea is the biggest piece is, first things first, reducing creator burnout, because it's massive, especially in a world today where there's a lot of noise, there's a lot of content, there's a lot of stuff flying at us all the time, that when you do have a few moments to actually create, you want it to be fast, you want it to be efficient, and you want it to save you time, right? So if you're thinking of, and we thought a lot about this, what is the problem that we're solving for with Northflow, is to give people their time back and to reduce the creator burnout that comes with managing multiple podcasts, that comes with showing up every single week. Right? Because you look at the stats of pod fade and you look at how many people don't actually make it past episode 7.
Yeah.
Why is that? Right? And like, my personal philosophy comes in here a little bit, that we all have such an important message to share, and you have a legacy in what you're building.
Yeah.
And so not showing up gives you and does the biggest disservice to your audience. So how is it that we bridge all of the chaos and bring it into one process and system that takes you from idea to full execution into full production? And Tally, if you want to talk a little bit about some of like the actual workflow and how it works, totally. I just wanted to start there to give people an idea.
Yes, but before we go there, I actually have a stat to share.
Great.
She's the
Cool.
best at stats. She has every single stat for everything you would ever need to know. And I value this so much about her.
Yes.
I
Yes.
love numbers. All right. So 52% of creators report stress from managing multiple platforms and tools just to stay consistent. So that was actually done by Kajabi creator polls.
Interesting.
52% are creators there. So we know for sure that, having to manage multiple tools can bring a lot of stress and eventually burnout. So now talking about the actual workflow, let's see, where do I start? There's one of the things that we try to create to make things a little bit easier was to create a template. And basically the idea behind the template is to like look through what you're already doing. So I've actually working on with Adriana in regards of her own template right now. So basically what we like to do whenever somebody joins us, if they reach out to us, we like to kind of audit like, hey, what's going on? Where are you feeling that there's a disconnect? So from there, we're trying to figure out like what's your first step, what's your second step, and so on. And also like, hey, maybe you can improve here, maybe you're missing this step. And with templates, that's what we can do. We can start creating like all those repetitive tasks that you do every time you're recording an episode. We're able to bring all of those in a template format. So next time you're recording a new episode, it's already there. You just create based on that template. And then we actually had a few people ask, like, well, but not every episode is different. It's like, it's
Yeah.
okay. You can start with the template. And then if you need to add additional steps to it, additional tasks, you can do that. And also, like, let's say somebody's managing multiple shows, they can have different templates based on the show that they're running. So every show has their own basically templates. So, and you can share also between different shows. Let's say like Simona, if she's running 3 different clients that have similar workflows, she could use that same template for all of those 3 clients and so on. That's, if I had to choose a feature that we currently have, that would probably be my favorite feature at the moment. But we have like so many things. So our main idea behind Northflow was to really like try to bring as many tools that people are currently using into one place to help you like through the whole process of creation. Like everything that happens before you press record and also everything that happens after.
After, yes.
Yes.
Yeah, and that is so cool because if you think about so hold on, it's my husband at
Can
the
you hear me?
door. Hold on.
Oh, she locked him out.
That's so funny.
I have a little orange scarf that I keep on my door when I'm recording so nobody would
that's
just
smart.
come in.
That's really smart. I should implement that.
I want one of those little neon signs that says on air. So I can put
air.
like right above my door so people would know like I'm recording right now. Don't come in.
I used to have one, but my office was like in a big open space. So I'd be like, on air.
Well, that would be great, but he was at the front door and I'm
Oh,
in the
yeah, that's
living
not going to
room.
work. You can stay outside. No, I'm just kidding. Not done.
And he was bringing in, so I was like, and so I said, I don't know why that happens every time I'm on a call. So that's what you all heard. So
It's the same reason why the dog barks and the lawnmower outside goes
yeah,
and the
I'm
kids knock
surprised
at the
that's
door
not
and tell you
happening.
they need a snack, even though they just eaten. Like, it's the
Yeah,
same reason why.
Yeah.
exactly.
Or in my
exactly.
case, a rooster will come right next to my
Literally.
and start doing its thing. I'm like, no, not the time.
Not right now.
My gosh. But yeah, so and thank God for editing. Oh my
I
gosh.
know. It's my favorite.
Yeah. But so let me
I'm happy to share like a bit of a story of like how I use Northflow in like the workflow that I would use for like my personal podcast, our podcast together. If you want to go there.
No, I do want to go there because and this is a great segue. What I was about to say was that managing my podcast versus now managing my clients' podcast, it requires different, pieces. And so that's a great segue into what you were going to say. So there you go. You got the
Thanks.
floor.
Thanks. So in addition to what Tally was saying, so we have a lot of different features, within the Northflow platform. And all of the features that are there have been built intentionally with a purpose to help creators in every part of their journey. So like we were saying, the pre-production, the recording part, and then the post-production. It's interesting because a lot of the times it's like, oh, I got to record. But it's actually like everything that takes the most amount of time comes before or after the actual recording.
You're absolutely right.
Right? And then when you burn yourself out up until recording, and then you don't have time or you don't have space, or you don't have energy to create any of the content, it's like, what are we doing here? Because now you've just spent so much time on something that you're not going to promote properly because you don't have any energy left to do that. So when I started using Northflow we have a podcast as well. It's called Behind the Workflow. But when we started, the biggest shift for me, so okay, let me take it back a step. Using Northflow for our joint co-hosted podcast made perfect sense. You know what I mean? It's Tally and I, we do the talking points together. We come up with the ideas, we record, we're very clear on the process, like who takes care of what. And so it's perfect, right? The interesting part was bringing my show over, agency clients over, because it felt like for me, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm like this process that I've had for so many years, I have to change it. But change isn't always a bad thing, you know? Change can bring us a lot of opportunity and open up a lot of space that we may not be aware of at all until you actually do it, right? So with my personal podcast, when I started creating the workflow behind it, the really cool thing is when you join Northflow and you put your RSS feed in, you automatically get suggested episodes. So it'll pull your content, it'll pull on the stuff that you have created before, and it'll give you content that's A, relevant to the market, which is really important, and B, that aligns with the content that you're already producing. So that's one way that you can automatically right off the bat start to reduce your overwhelm, because here's 3 episode ideas that will work just fantastically for your show. The next thing was building out what did I want my workflow to look like, right? So I took in all of the pieces, all of the things that I did for my show. And like Tally just said, all of my clients have some, and I'm sure you can relate to this, have some form and variation of process. Client A needs show notes and clips. Client B needs newsletter and uploads. Like, you know what I mean? Like everyone has
Mhm.
something different.
Mhm.
So what I did was create one standard template and then variations for each different show based off of that. And that's been really, really helpful because every time we go to create a new episode, where we start is in the production schedule. This is just my process. I start in the production schedule. I break it out per month, but you can also break it out per season. And I put in my show, like my episodes that are going out that month. Those episodes that I've input now turn into episode cards. And within those episode cards is my automatic template that I've loaded in directly. So I don't have to go in and manually add anything. It's already there with the dates that it's going live, with the dates that the tasks need to be done by, and with the person that is assigned to each task. So now I don't have to manage my team and make sure that they get assigned the correct episode. You know what I mean? So go ahead.
No. Go ahead. No, you go ahead.
So in addition to that, so now you have your production schedules filled out. You know exactly what is going out and when. You know which episode number you're on, what your show title is even. And then within that, I have it broken down into pre-production,
pre-production,
pre-production, and then post. And so I have the 3 different stages, and you can add to this too, right? Like you can add additional stages of, if you want to review metrics, or if you have, a whole sponsorship section, like whatever your process is, you can customize it. So then from there, I will go in, and if I need talking points for my episode, I have a little task for talking points / script. I don't really script my show like a whole lot. I mean, I was, and it took me hours to record it because I would sit there and I'd be like, as podcasting, and then I'd be like, and today, oh my God, this is like, I did like a year, and someone said to me, he's like, I can really tell when you're reading versus when you're yourself. And I'm like, well, that's so awkward. I'm like, okay, we're done. I think it's important to have talking points. And I think it's important to have talking points and a structure, because otherwise you can really go completely left field and then you have no idea what you're actually talking about or what the intent was, right? So like I just did right now. So anyways, from there, you have all of your different tasks. So you can go in, you can put your script. But one thing that I did is I put my show notes template in there. I have a specific show note structure that I like to follow for each episode. And I have that in a task. So when I create my new episode, I don't have to go into the Google Drive and find my show notes template and find all of the things. Everything that I need is right there. Because in addition to the episodes, the production schedule, the task management, also have a booking calendar. And with that booking calendar, you have an intake form. So now you've taken away all of these extra tools, all these extra expenses. You've just streamlined your ClickUp, your Asana, your Monday, your Trello, okay, your Calendly, your Google Forms, your Jot Forms, your type forms, whatever other forms you want to use, and it's in one spot. But also, we all know that guest management can be like a little bit tricky. We want our guests to promote our podcast episodes, right? You put so much time into it. Well, you can send them directly from Northflow without them having to be a user. And you can do this with clients as well. You can send them a card from your Northflow dashboard that you need them to review. And for a guest, for example, you can attach all of the graphics that they need. You can attach any social media captions if you want to draft them for people. You can attach any relevant links. So truly the possibilities are absolutely endless. Like you could create it however you want. And then as a last sort of idea, and maybe Tally, if you want to expand on some of these as well, you have a website, right? So we have built in automatically a website with literally the push of a button. Have a website. And this is a huge pain point for podcasters. I hear this all the time. Simona, what link should I use to promote my episode? Should I send them to Spotify or Apple, or should I send them to YouTube? And it's like, well, really, you should be directing them somewhere where they can choose to listen on what platform they need to listen on, right? So that was a huge thing. Tally, if you want to talk a little bit about the website and the way that the player shows and all the links and stuff like that, because it's huge for the promotion. You've just taken so much stress off your mind of how you're going to promote it. And you go to a conference and you're like, oh yeah, I have a podcast. And they're like, oh, what's it called? And they're like, oh, here's the link. And you have everything you need right there, and your contact form and your booking link.
Yes.
Why would you do anything else?
Why?
Yes. It's northflow.io in case. No, I'm just kidding.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
So one thing, no, I totally agree. One thing that I've actually seen a couple of people doing, and I was like, oh, that's a good idea. We actually should do for our show too, Simona, is basically use the website as their link tree, because the way that we built it, you can add as many links as you want. So you could, of course, add all of your players, but you can also add different links for people to find you on social media and so on. So the website, it is somewhat basic right now because we're still trying to get a lot of the feedback of like what people really need there. But
Mhm.
as a starting point, it has everything that you need if you just need a quick page for your show.
Yeah, I tell you. So, there were the big so and I love that feature where, you can go in and create a page, for yourself and things like that. And I love the fact that it minimizes all of the other platforms and software and apps and, things that,
Mhm.
you think you need. Cause I tell you, so I was,
That you think you need just
so when I first set up my appointment to meet with you guys so you could do a demo, I think one of the questions was, do you mind? I can't remember how it's phrased, but do you mind us seeing your workflow? And I think I said, I don't know.
you're like, which one?
Well, and it was because I'll tell you, so because I really am, one of those people that, I love systems and all the things that help you to be more organized and things like that. And so, but I will tell you, I was embarrassed because um I'm like in the middle of, like my podcast, I have a flow. It doesn't take me long, to do it. I didn't have it documented. A lot of it was in my head because it doesn't require a whole lot. But now I'm actually moving to managing clients and their podcast. And so with that question, I was like, well, I don't know if I want them to see it because it's just all duct tape.
You're like, stop calling me out. No.
And so, but I mean, it's something that's so needed. So, so I guess, well, I didn't really have a question. I just was, like thinking about my own experience and helping, my clients. So this is something that will help an agency to manage
Mhm.
clients, a
Yeah.
person to manage their own show. And
Mhm.
I love the form. Now, I don't necessarily, interview a lot of people. Most of my shows are solo. But after you've seen my workflow, what would you I'm just putting myself out there. What would you recommend that I change? Because I have a
Ooh.
CRM that I use, but I know and I'm certain you have recommendations or
Which platform do you use? I just have to ask.
for my CRM,
Mm,
it's practice.do.
okay.
Yeah.
Oh.
And it works, I mean, I actually love the platform. It works for not just podcasting, but it also works for managing, my coaching sessions and
Mhm.
my packages and all of that stuff. So that's when when I got the platform a few years ago, a couple years ago, that it still works well, So, but I'm also ready to reduce some of those, things that I've
Mm,
duct taped together.
yeah, that
So
makes sense.
after seeing my workflow for
Mm.
guests,
Mhm. I
put
gotta go.
myself
I'm just kidding. I'm just joking. No.
I'm scared to put myself out there, but
No, you're fine. Trust me. Like I've seen a few that I did not have a solution right up front. I had to take a few days to even breathe through it and then come up with the solution. So yours is okay. Trust me.
okay.
One thing that I did notice is that like for your different clients, you have different process, and that puts a lot of burden on you.
Mhm.
So one thing, and I actually have this listed as one of the feedbacks that I was planning on giving you, but if you're okay, I can share now,
Okay.
was basically like to create you, like you'll be in charge of what way you want to receive a client's episode. And not let the client dictate that, because this way you will be able to create that template and you can request them to actually send that episode information. But overall, like I really do think once you have that nailed in place, everything else is going to flow smoothly. And also, like you can go ahead and have all the basically like the what do we call, like a task that whenever you assign it to your client, they're gonna automatically get that email. This could be where you're gonna be sharing all of the assets from the episode. And also this is something that Simone and I do whenever we're done. She'll usually like create a new task, assign it to me, and I'll get a notification letting me know. And then I go there and I have all of the links. I have all of the, like the transcription, everything that I need to go ahead and do my parts. So with your workflow, whenever you put that in place and you have like the clear steps that the client needs to take, it would
Yeah.
take a lot of the burden from you and not necessarily pass it on to them, because they're also having to go through the process right now where they're either sending an email or
Yeah.
trying to reach out to you on Instagram, and I'm sure you don't like that. So but
No.
but it will also give you a way to have like all of the communication in one place. They would know, like, if they're missing something, they would know that they can count on your system being in place for them
Yeah.
to be able to go to that specific link and find that information without them having to reach out to you all the time.
Yeah. Yeah. That's the biggest challenge, that I feel right now. And I know it's because of the pivot that I'm making, in my business right now, because it's not quite an agency. It's like I'm in right in between. And so I'm having to make those changes from just doing mine to managing theirs. And as I'm showing them, because I help do this pretty kind of like the same thing you do, Simona, with launching their podcast.
Yep.
But it's also not just launching their podcast, it's also launching their virtual events as well
Oh,
as their
wow.
email marketing strategy. So it's like a three-part
Oh, that's so
process. And so, but I'm just it's something that I've been doing, and I'm just starting to pivot in that direction. And so I got to have all of that podcasting stuff ironed out, you know.
cool.
So yeah, so that's why I was like, I don't know, I don't know if I want them to see how band-aid-ish this is.
But you know what? In fairness, I've been in the industry since 2018, and my process was duct taped together too. You know what I mean? Like without having an actual software that does it for you, because
Yeah,
Trello is great for
I
like
used it. Yeah,
yeah, that's what I was using. ClickUp we use for like agency task management. I use Asana for clients. I've used Monday for clients. But the thing is these systems and softwares are literally built for being task management for tasks and projects for
exactly.
teams. It's not
Mhm.
meant for podcasts. So I remember in the beginning really searching, and I was like, how okay, I had to put together the process that I built on Trello. Like I had to build that. You know what I mean? I had to build that board out. I had to build the automations. Like I had to build all of those things. And it's still like not great,
Yeah,
because as
yeah,
you grow as a producer, as an agency owner, or what have you, or even as a creator, you develop different processes for different things. So now at this
yeah,
point, all of our clients, like Tally was saying earlier, like require something different, right? And so if I'm able to now just create something that's custom for each of them, because some of them I only would upload something to the Google Drive and then send them an email. And then some
yeah,
of them I'm doing full social media management for.
yeah,
So
yeah,
you're like, how do you
yeah,
don't need a whole Trello board for
yeah,
someone who just needs an email. But
yeah,
if I can just send out a card through Northflow
yeah,
to my client for them to review where they can give me feedback directly in that episode card,
yeah,
now I don't have to go to my messages. I don't have
yeah,
to go to all I have client messages on WhatsApp, on iMessenger, on Voxer, email. Like, how do you keep up with that? You can't. If you
exactly.
want to still thrive, you can't.
Yeah,
You end up in burnout or stressed, or you close because you can't handle it. We don't want to
exactly,
see that. We want creators to create,
exactly.
you know?
Yeah, exactly. Currently, I don't have a team. And so, with, being solo, and I'm not quite at that point where I need a team just yet. I
Yeah.
believe in automating and systemizing and, doing all that before I decide who needs, what team member I'm going to need. And so, and I don't manage anybody's social media, including my own. I don't like social media.
I don't blame you.
Oh my gosh, I was so so basically, I just, manage pretty much just their podcast and those pieces that I will be managing or showing them will be more of the, virtual events as well as showing them how to set up, their email marketing.
Which is
But
really cool because if
yeah,
you're working with podcasters that are using their show as a marketing arm for their business, you're directly leading into events and you're directly leading into
yeah,
newsletters and all of the things. And social media is not the only way to grow your podcast. We could do
yeah.
a total two-parter on leveraging social media to grow your podcast
Well, you know
or
what? We are
leveraging platforms.
and I was just thinking, I was like, we are gonna have to come back. This is gonna be hopefully I would like for us to come back and do episodes periodically
Mm.
talking about some of, the developments and, even like, what's going on with Spotify, what's going on with some, things like that, all the things, right? And so you ladies are going to be speaking at my networking event in July. And so I'm really excited about that. So before we close out, because I got another call in 6 minutes. So what else is coming up, for Northflow? And how do you want people to reach out to you?
So the best way would be go to our website, northflow.io, and you can access, your account through there. You can create an account through there. We're active over Instagram, and we also have a Discord channel. And we love, love, love meeting new people and creators through either of those. So send us a message. It's either Tally or I in the DMs. We're both kind of in there saying hi to everyone. Tally, do you want to share like the exciting new transition that's happening for us in like the next like week or so
Yes. So
Let's
in
go.
this current moment when we're recording?
yes, yes. So by the time you hear it, it might be kind of late. But as of Monday, June 16, we're gonna be going off beta. Right now, you have to go to northflow.io and request an invite. But starting June 16, we're gonna be opening up for everyone that wants to join. They are able to join us. The sad part, though, on this is that those that did not make it before June 16, they're no longer considered founding members. And as you guys know, and let me go ahead and share this with everyone that's listening, we've been building Northflow based on a lot of community feedback. So the founding members are the ones that have been with us since we barely had a product. So a lot of the things that we have there, it's based on all of those feedbacks. So yes, June 16, that's when all the changes start happening. And also, we're going to be opening our affiliates as well. So I'm sure Dream will
Yes,
have an affiliate link and she can share
absolutely.
that with everyone.
Absolutely. I'm super excited. I'm always looking for a way to help my community, and
Love that.
serve my community, in a way that helps them with their podcasts and helps them to streamline their operations and all of that stuff. So I am super, super excited about this. So we're going to definitely come back and have, like a part two, because we just
We do.
start talking. We don't
That's
know,
true.
just,
I
so
totally do. No, I'm just
yeah,
kidding.
I know. So
This is
I'm
what happens
super
More
when you
to
put a whole
come.
bunch
so yeah, so everybody, so there is more to come. And so your podcast name is isn't it behind the workflow or
behind the
behind the
workflow.
flow?
Behind the workflow.
Behind the workflow. Okay. So definitely go and check out their podcast, go to northflow.io, connect with them, and they're definitely going to help you, even if you think you got it under control. They'll be able to, help you.
It's
So
never as bad as you think,
I
Sometimes you
know.
just need a little
True.
tweak, like signing up for Northflow.
Well, there you go. There you go. Uh,
This has been so much fun.
This has
That's
been a
true.
lot of fun. This
It's a
has been a lot of
beautiful
fun.
part of my day today. So thank you. I really
You're
appreciate it.
so welcome. No, thank you, ladies, for joining me on this episode, and I'm excited to see where we all go. I'm thankful to be on the journey with you all because I feel like I'm on this journey with you all now,
Yes,
So
you
good.
are.
and so that's it. We're gonna sign off, and yeah, that's
Thank you for having us.
it. Thank you.